Hello and welcome to the latest show from WD18 and From The Rookery End, on your screens via YouTube and in your ears in podcast form. My name is Mike, and in this episode we're going to risk what little credibility we have left as we make our predictions for the 2026-27 season. Joining me in putting their reputations on the line for this episode is DCW. Dave, how are you?
I'm very good. Yeah, looking forward to trying to top my prediction last year of saying that Jeremy Ngakia would get goal of the season.
It is the gold standard, that, of predictions, isn't it? Charlie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to hearing Sam's predictions because every year he pulls out some absolute whoppers. So always fun doing this video, and glad to be doing it with you two as well to see what you've got up your sleeves.
So whoppers in a good way or whoppers in a bad way?
Absolutely terrible. You talk about putting credibility on the line, Mike. I don't think I've got any credibility left after the last few years. I'm trying to think. I can't really think off the top of my head what stinkers I've had, because every single year they just seem to get more and worse and worse. So, yeah, a lot of bad ones over the years. So let's hope that, this year a little bit better.
Did you say we were going to get promoted last season?
No, he said Leicester were.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Worse.
So we started with David, the gold standard, and we've got the full gamut. Starting with Dave and ending with Sam, who's obviously, what's the opposite of the Midas touch? He's got that anyway. It's nice to have you along anyway, Sam, regardless. So we're making these predictions ahead of the league opener, which we've got Southampton at the weekend. But our Carabao Cup campaign is, of course, now underway. 1-0 win against Crawley. And lads, seeing as it was the first game of the season, I assume you were super excited and all at the Vic, yeah? Yeah?
Our silence is deafening, I'd say.
Right, so let me get this right. We've got an array of people who can't predict anything, don't go to watch Watford, right? That's who our panel is this week. Superb. Well, luckily for you lot, I was there.
Yeah, why were you there, Mike?
The reason why I was there is not important. My beloved Watford.
Buy a ticket, did you?
The call comes and I turn up at WD18. I'm there, rain or shine. And I'm glad I was, actually. Do you know what? I've complained as bitterly as most about the state of Watford, certainly in WhatsApp groups and so on and so forth. But hearing Z cars with the sun shining, it's brilliant. There's no better place to be. And your song, I absolutely love it. It gives me goosebumps. I think that pre-match at Watford is really coming on a treat. So I was pleased to be there. Shame on you three. So I'm going to fill you in on what it was like. And obviously we got the win. And ultimately, I think on another day we probably would have won by 3 or 4. But starting at the back, that's probably what concerned me the most. I think just the shape of the defence. We looked a little bit sloppy, and whilst Crawley didn't get at us much, it felt like there were enough questions there to be slightly concerned. And I don't think we really need to go on about it too much. We know what the state of the squad is at the time of recording. It's Tuesday. We're recording this. We're in dire need of centre-backs. So effectively we started Mark Boller at left-back and Matty Pollock and Kevin Kevin, the only 2 centre-backs we had. So I suppose the big tick in that regard is that we got through without them getting either sent off or injured. So we didn't lose one of the 2 centre-backs we have. Traore is an interesting one. It's the first time we got to see him. I don't know if you guys have seen anything of him or know much about him, but he looked very much to me like someone who loves getting forward and is slightly more dubious about doing the hard work of actually defending. So that's one to keep an eye on.
The club put out a social media post today saying Ngakia with a picture of Jeremy, which fair play, interesting. So it's going to be good to see him coming back. What about our new keeper? Did he have any? Was he busy at all?
He had a few smart saves to make, but he did exactly what you'd expect him to do. And I think the reason we've got him is basically because he had a poor season last year in Italy, isn't it? And I think Watford have seen the opportunity to pick up someone they view as a decent prospect, a decent player, at a reasonable rate because he had a poor season last year. And I think for him to kick-start the season, his first competitive game for Watford, keeping a clean sheet, again, that goes down as a big tick. He didn't really have to do anything out of the ordinary. He wasn't having to command his box. Crawley weren't having any luck down the flanks. It was sort of more pot shots, really. But he did what he had to do. So he looked decent. KB started, and alongside Zed Cars and your song, what I absolutely love is watching opposition players just bounce off him. it's hilarious. They're all complaining that they get fouled, and I thought the ref managed him really well. They sort of the ref just told him to get up, but he looked fit and strong and healthy, but he struggled a little bit, and I think that
at half time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, and I thought his performance was brought into quite sharp focus actually when Nabizada was brought on at half time. He played on the left, and Marma switched over onto the right, where Barr was in the first half, and that combination down the two flanks looked a lot more positive, I think. And Amin looked. I think the issue with KB is if you give the ball to him and he's stationary, he struggles from a sort of not a standing start, but you know what I mean. If he's not running onto a ball, I think he struggles a little bit. If he's running onto it, if the ball's played into space, not many people are going to catch up with him. I've just mentioned his strength there. But I think in Amin, what you've got, he's just a little bit more nimble, a little bit more agile, and he seems at this stage to have a little bit more to his game. So I'm really fascinated to see if he did enough to play his way into the starting 11 against Southampton on Sunday. It's a big gamble, I guess, because he hasn't got the experience that KB has, and also you've got to think about managing him. We've seen what Barr can do when he's at his destructive best, but I think he is quite delicate, and it'll be interesting to see how Dionisi manages him. So that was an interesting one. Marma I mentioned, cut above, absolute mustard, by far and away the best player on the pitch. I'd say probably by far and away the best player in Watford's squad. Just looks born to do it, and I think we just got to make the most of him while we've got him. Go on, Dave.
I was watching the game. Well, I was able to watch the sort of first half an hour. I was out, but I was watching it on Sky, and for a while I was quite confused. I was sort of thinking, have we started a youngster that I don't know about or something? Because the commentator kept calling every time Marma got the ball, he kept calling him Ayama, and it really confused me until I worked out what was going on, and he'd obviously how you get that wrong? Is he like? Well, it's not even close. It obviously starts with an M. I don't know.
It could work in our favour, because if we get loads of bids coming in for Ayama, we can in good faith say no, we can't sell him. We don't know what you're talking about.
But I thought we looked from the bits I've seen. I've watched the highlights back since, but pretty enterprising. Like it seemed like we had an idea of what we wanted to do, and we went about the task of trying to beat a team who were going to have less possession than us, which is something that we've struggled with a lot in the last few seasons, quite well. And we had a lot of shots. Vito Manone in the Crawley goal, ex of Arsenal.
Is he a streets won't forget, Dave?
Can you have a streets won't forget goalkeeper? It's a good question. I'm not sure. But he had a good game and made a lot of saves. But we had a lot of shots, but our finishing wasn't amazing. Our composure wasn't always amazing, and that brings us on to the striking department. And Kurumgard, who started, missed a good, very presentable chance early doors, and what little confidence he has probably drained out of him at that point, and had another challenging afternoon, didn't he?
He did. He looks like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and I do wonder whether. We often remarked about Ismail Assar, didn't we, about how he sort of looked and what his body language was like, and I think perhaps he was a little bit misunderstood. But Kurangol all of a sudden looks, well, not all of a sudden really, it's just a continuation from last year. It looks very, very difficult for him, and we said that Ravilia had a good save. Am I saying that right? Ravilia, the keeper? We'll go with Federico. Anyway.
That was good.
Yeah, any of the above. The keeper.
No, you got it bang on. Let's not have any of this Fred nonsense. Just say it right. Yeah, there you go. Back yourself.
Comfort. You're talking about Luca lacking confidence. Listen to me. It was a bad start for Luca. Let's be honest. He, like you say, Dave, there were probably more than presentable chances. He could have had two in the opening section of the game, and there was one telling bit that was quite worrying for me, whereas he went to head a ball that Bove, I think it was going to overhead kick. I don't know if you saw this on the stream, Dave, but he went to head it, got in the way of Bove, and Bove looked really ticked off, effectively, gave him a bit of a verbal volley, gave him a mouthful, and it felt like already we're sort of drifting into that situation where the creative players or the players working hard in midfield to create these chances are getting frustrated that the 9 isn't taking them. I really hope that the body language is just the way he is. He's a big guy and he sort of does lope around a little bit. But as you allude to, Dave, it's a concern. And Doumbia came on, and in the same way as Nabizada replaced Barr, he's slightly more mobile and agile, and he drops a bit deeper to get the ball, and it definitely sticks. But it's a concern. So those two centre backs and the striking issue look problematic. What was great was to see Vata come back on in the ground, Dave. It felt like he was super tenacious. I don't know if you picked up on that watching it online, but I don't know what you think about.
I've kind of forgotten about him a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to ask Chaz and Sam really whether Vata feels like a bit of a new signing. Really, he can strike the ball, he can finish, and he's sort of got that X factor, hasn't he?
Yeah, really, really good, Rocco Vata. Been a big fan of him since he joined Watford. And the frustrating thing with Vata is it's just been getting that consistent run of games because of injuries. And I still think there is a little bit to his game that he can add, which is always going to happen when you've got a young player like that who isn't getting that consistent run of games. But if he can stay injury-free, and you talk about Marmer being far and away Watford's best player, I'd actually say Vata is right up there as well. I think he's so talented. There's a reason that when Watford got him, obviously he was on Celtic's books, but there were so many clubs who were after him as well that it could be another one that we go on to sell for tens and in the millions. Is
that an official prediction, Sam? Is that an official UK prediction?
We'll come on to that later on in the video, maybe. But I think, even since he first joined Watford, we've seen him physically build as well. I think he's physically getting there as well. And last season's injury was slightly unlucky. So a big season coming up for Rocco. And I think, he could be right up there with Marmer as one of our best players.
Charles, ultimately it was Mark Boller that broke the deadlock in the 99th minute. Absolutely superb. Our friend and colleague David Cameron Walker has said on other outlets that it was just an absolute swinger. We've seen other people say that it's a potential goal of the season. What's your take on Boller's winner?
I think Dave's right. I think it is a swinger if I've ever seen it. One of my predictions that I got right last season was Mark Bowler would start a left back ahead of Caleb Wiley. Well, that at the time was a bit of a warm take. But Mark Bowler, congratulations to him. He's just signed a new deal.
Yeah.
I've been a massive fan of him ever since he's come. And I'm excited to see what he can do this season alongside Marmer. I feel like they've got a really nice connection down that left. Marmer likes that Travella pass for the outside of the boot as a Bowler overlaps. So I think those two can do some damage. And after a year at the club, it feels like he's taking a bit more responsibility, got a bit more seniority about him. I'm excited to see what Mark Bowler can do this season. It's interesting, especially with Jordan Zamora coming in. It's going to be hard him taking the shirt off Mark.
Yeah, just finally, just to finish off on the Crawley game, you mentioned partnerships and players gelling. I thought mentioned him earlier, but Bove and Bravo, first time we've seen him in competitive action, obviously for Watford. I think they linked up quite nicely in that midfield. They showed a bit of dynamism and they looked like they could be interesting. Bove looks super fit, super ready to go. Basically, I think he's
hungry.
Hungry. That's the word, Sam. And I think Bravo could be a lot of fun. I don't think he's going to be the answer to our goal scoring problems. I do think he might help create opportunities from what we saw on Saturday against Crawley, albeit against a League Two side. And yes, a League Two side that almost disappeared out of the Football League last season. But
the three of them in there with Bove, Bravo, and Ciprianu, they're all quite similar in terms of their sort of hairstyle. And watching it on the slightly less than 4K HD coverage from Sky on the red button the other day, took me a little while to sort of tune into the body shapes and sort of work out which one was which. Because Bravo's hair has got, I don't know whether he's had some highlights, but all of a sudden it's quite blonde. And Bove and Ciprianu are sort of similar-ish kind of Albany kind of strawberry blondes themselves. So it's quite a nice trio in that respect.
Yeah, Mike and Charlie have left the chat. Yeah. So we got the job done. It was, I don't know. It was absolutely. It was entertaining enough. I think we ended up with 36 shots, something like that. I think that on the plus side, we got through it without losing a centre back. The big concern is Luca and how we're going to score these goals. But we're through. Peterborough at home in the next round, the Ken Charlery derby, as I'm calling it. I don't think anyone else. Yeah, exactly. It's an opportunity to get through, isn't it? Another home game, and I think what's going to be key for the start of this season is getting wins and getting time and confidence under our belt. I think Opta have released a stat today. They've ranked the hardest start to the season, and Watford are top. They've got what is viewed to be statistically the hardest start to the Championship season. So any opportunity to play at home against a team that is in a lower division, I think, is to be welcome. So the Carabao Cup charges on, but the trophy we're all talking about now is who's going to come up with the best prediction for 2026, 2027. We're going to go route one with the first one. We'll start with you, Dave. Who will lift the Player of the Season trophy at the end of the year?
Now, this is interesting because I don't think many people would have picked Matty Pollock at the start of last season. Did anyone pick him, Charlie? I don't think they did they? Now, in seasons where a defender or a goalkeeper wins it, it's often because the rest of the team haven't been that good and they've performed well under pressure in the difficult moments. So are we going to have a season like that, where it's going to be somebody like Pollock or Bowler or Cipriano, or somebody who wins it maybe for their character and their leadership and them standing out amongst a bunch of knackered old rubbish? Or is it going to be someone who wins it because of sparkling attacking play, being by far and away the best player of the season? I think it could go either way still, but I'm going to be optimistic and say that it will be somebody that wins it due to great goals, great assists, great moments, being one of the division's best players, hopefully. And I'll pick Othman Marmar, who 12 months ago, I don't think we were expecting him to be involved in the team at all last season. And he goes to the Under-20 World Cup, wins the golden ball or whatever the equivalent is in that tournament. And now here he is, looking to have a season when, there are, as we've already discussed, quite a lot of competition in those areas of the pitch in terms of enterprising attacking talents, but he seems to be the best bet so far, so I'm going to go with him.
So Dave's gone with the best player at the football club. Controversial take. Sam?
Yeah, I've gone with a name that Dave actually mentioned just now. I've gone with Mark Bowler. Maybe a slight bit of bias from the weekend after scoring that 30-yard goal, but I just feel that him being in the leadership group, taking on that responsibility that Charlie mentioned earlier on in the season, I think we're going to see, as good as he was last season, an even bigger improvement from him. I really like him as a player. I like the way he gets up and down the pitch. I like him defensively. And I think going forward as well, he offers us something really good too. I mean, I wouldn't quite phrase it the way that Dave did, but I think it's going to be another season that we potentially are looking at defensive players or players with a bit more character for the Player of the Season awards, as I think we might struggle in those forward areas. So I'm going to go with Mark Bowler.
Player of the Season and Goal of the Season for Mark Bowler then. Superb. Charlie, what you got for us?
I'm going to go for Luca. No, I'm joking. No, I would have gone with Othman Marmar as well, being on the positive side. I'd probably had Mark Bowler in second. But I think Othman Marmar, for me, he's probably one of the biggest talents we've had. I think he's up there with João Pedro. I was just shocked with how skillful, how confident. I think his mentality is really good. I've never seen a winger like him defend at Vicarage Road in years. He's got that tenacity. I think he's going to shine this season, and hopefully we can keep him for the full season. So, yeah, I agree with Dave. I don't know who you're going for, Mike, but before you say who, is there another player that we can say who would make maybe a top three? Rocco Vata?
Yeah, I think I'd like to hope that Rocco will be in the shake-up. I've got high hopes of him. I've always liked him. He's been slightly chaotic, hasn't he, when he's played? But I love the energy. I love his desire to get forward. Whenever he's on the ball, he's always looking to make something happen. And he's frustrated when he can't. There's that magic finish away at Fulham in the cup, so he can definitely hit a ball. So, yeah, I think Vata is one that I hope would be in the mix. And you joke about Luca, But if he can somehow turn it, wouldn't. How fabulous would it be that number 9 that we desperately need does sort of hatch somehow out of the sort of slightly desperate-looking frame of Luca Kieran-Gold at the moment. So it'd be good for it to go to an attacking player.
Did you just call him Luca Kieran-Gold?
I'm manifesting. It's Kieran-Gold, isn't it? But I'm sticking an L on it, like Batistuta.
Yeah.
Oh, Batigol. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the first and last time those two will be mentioned in the same breath. But there you go.
I think Bove has a chance, maybe.
Yeah.
Like if he had the season that you think he might be capable of, if he's physically up to it, and we play in a way that suits him. In terms of his pedigree, he's got to be up there in terms of one of the better midfielders in the league in terms of what he's done already in his career before he had the heart issue. So,
but has he played a good 90 minutes for Watford? I know that might be
exactly.
I
think
that'd be a bit harsh. I just don't know. I don't know how good he is. Could you compare him to an ex-Watford player? We know he's very tenacious, and does he get the box? Does he get goals?
At the moment, he's looking more like Dominic Blizzard than he is Etienne Capoue. But he's got the pedigree, so who knows? If he can show it, and if everything can be harmonious, and a central midfield player like him, I think often has a good chance of being a player of the season candidate if they're centrally involved, like Louza has been, and they're at the heart of things.
Yeah, I think having a full pre-season as well will be really, really beneficial to him. Because last season, from memory, he had it was almost a mini pre-season by himself while the rest of the squad were getting on with the season. So I think having that actual pre-season with everyone else, while hopefully he's fully fit and hopefully he stays fully fit, I think will be really beneficial to him.
And everything we've heard from coming out of the training ground is that the standards that he expects is high. He likes to set the standard. I think he's incredibly fit, so he's ready to go. And like I said earlier, he looked really, really good against Crawley on Saturday. Obviously, a massive caveat in terms of the opposition level he was playing against. But yeah, he could be in with a shout. I think obviously it's that fitness that is going to be the deciding factor there. But we hopefully we need him to be a success, because he is one of the better players, isn't he? And that's what we're going to be relying on this season. But I'm going to go for Federico Raviglia, and I don't think that's a negative, because Davey sort of couched it in a slightly negative terms that if a defender wins it, it means it's all hands to the pump. If you look at Rushworth at Cov last year, did he win Championship Player of the Season? He must have been up there. And watching Cov, he earned them so many points. I thought he was absolutely tremendous. They've signed him permanently now. And
Trafford did similar for Burnley a few years ago as well.
Yeah, and I think if you're playing in front of someone who exudes confidence, who you can completely rely on, it's just an area of the pitch you don't really need to worry about. Egil Selvik is on his way to Brest. It looks like Dan Backman's going to be number 2 with the number 3 from Bradford coming in. Who can remember his name? Pop quiz?
Sam Walker.
Sam Walker, well done, Chaz. So it looks like the goalkeeping unit is set, but if he can hit the ground running, he's an absolute unit. And the reason I mentioned Selvik was because I think he fell into the trap that Dan Backman did a little bit of not a little bit, it was his downfall really, not being able to command his box. And I think Selvik got injured. Was it away at Millwall perhaps? He did a shoulder, and he didn't really look like the same player since in terms of commanding that box. And what you're hoping with Raviglia is that someone that is big and imposing can cut, instead of worrying about the 6'4" striker bearing down on you, you be the thing that the striker worries about. Come clear everyone out, and use your frame. So I'm hopeful that it's going to be him that gets the gong at the end of the season. So
he would be joining Tony Coton, David James, Kevin Miller, Alec Chamberlain, Ben Foster,
Gary Plumley,
Aurelio Gomez, as all goalkeepers who have won Player of the Season for Watford. I don't know whether Steve Sherwood ever got it, or whether there was a goalkeeper that won it in the 20s. We need Ollie from Hornet Heaven to tell us about that one. But there's been a few that have won it for us over the years.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, and I think if he's playing well, that's a great foundation for us to go on and do well this season. Sam, you're the youngest amongst us, I think. So I'm going to go to you first for your prediction for young player of the season.
Yeah, a player that we've already spoken about a couple of times in this podcast. I'm going to go with Rocco Vata, still at the age of 21 years old. And I think this season, with potentially a bit more responsibility on him, with Chatfatatse gone and Iran Kunda gone as well, it could be a really, really big season for Rocco Vata. It's just a case of him staying fit, physically being on top of it as well. It's a relentless championship campaign, so it's difficult for a player of any age, let alone such a young man. But I'm going to go with Vata because I think there's so much promise in there, like we've spoken about this video. I think he's brave on the ball. He's someone who gets people on the edge of their seat. One of those players who, one of my really niche sounds that I love at Watford is, well, I don't know if it's that niche, but where I sit in the corner of the Rookery, when everyone stands up and you can slowly hear all of the seats getting up across the Rookery. I absolutely love that. And Rocco's one of those players where you get that exact sound every time he picks up the ball at Vicarage Road. So I'm hoping it's going to be a big season for Vata if he can stay fit. And I've got no doubt that, let alone the young player of the season, he'll be in the player of the season conversation as well if he is fit.
Charlie?
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a good season for Rocco Vata, like Sam mentioned. And we're making a little pilgrimage, aren't we, to potentially see Rocco in October, England under-21s versus Ireland under-21s. So hopefully he might have been impressing that much. He might be in the seniors by then. But I'm going to go with Amin Nabizada for my young player of the season. What I've seen of him, which is little to be fair, but every time I see him, he looks so lively, so creative. He looks on it, like the attitude looks like it's the last game he's ever played, and that's exactly what you want to see for young players. I think when you look at kind of where we are as a club, we really, really need young players to come into the team and help lift the fan base and give us something to get behind. And I think Amin's going to get good opportunities this season. I think there's been a few times in pre-season when maybe he started on the bench, but he's come on and he's looked like he's lifted the team and we've looked better for him. So he comes with a tiny bit of an international pedigree himself. He's played for the England youths, and yeah, I think he's got a big future. I'm hoping that he can have a real breakthrough year, and it's one of those tactical selections as well, because everyone loves a homegrown kid, and if he gets enough minutes, I think he'll get enough votes to win Young Player of the Season.
I've seen him a fair bit for the under-21s when they've been playing at home, and yeah, he's been head and shoulders above most of the other operators at that level, and he's always been the one I think that Watford have been most keen to keep, and you can see why. I think he, like you say, Charlie, when he gets on the pitch, he doesn't take a backward step, does he? Similar to Rocco in that regard, but he knows what he's there to do, and he looks ready to do it for me. I thought he played well in that game against Hansa Rostock as well when he came on. Again, caveat against the quality of the opponent, and obviously it's a friendly, but yeah, high hopes for Amin. Dave, who have you got?
Well, Nabizada's a shoo-in for it, I think, if he plays regularly and performs how we think he will do from what we've seen so far. It's funny that you chose Vata, Sam, because yes, he would qualify for it being 21 still, but in my mind, young player of the season, and this goes for like Premier League too and everything, I think really it should be more rookie of the year. I think it should go to players who are having their first full season as a senior player, as opposed to someone who just qualifies for it because they're younger than the cut-off point or whatever. So I like Nabizada as a pick. It's a shame that Travis Akamea has got picked up an injury, which looks like it's going to keep him out for a little while, because with our centre-back issues, if he got on the pitch and maybe somehow worked his way into the team and could have shown himself as being a serious option, then potentially he could have got it. But I think it's Nabizada's to lose, surely.
I think with Travis, Dave, I think there would have been every chance that he would have featured by the sounds of things. The sort of word coming out of the club is that he was exceptionally highly rated and was going to be definitely in first team contention, and with that in mind, he's going to be in with a shout, like you say. We haven't seen him really in first team action. If that was going to be the case, then if you're chucked in at centre back and you stay in at centre back, you're doing a good job. So he would have been in the frame. There's one guy that I wanted to mention potentially as my pick. I don't know if you guys have heard much about him, but Kiefer Gorman. I think he was on the bench for the first team away at Boreham Wood. I think he's left winger, so pretty well stocked in that regard. So whether or not we're going to get to see him in and around the first squad, but I think he is one that is very, very highly rated. So he's just one perhaps to keep an eye on. An outside bet. Don't put your rent or mortgage on him to win Young Player of the Season. But another indication that we have got some decent talent coming through. And I think we're in a situation, aren't we? And how do you feel about this, actually, lads? That we are going to be relying on these players a little bit more, seemingly, because of the financial situation. Not just at Watford, but you can pick up how crackers the Championship is in terms of transfer fees and salaries. So clubs are, whether they like it or not, at one stage going to end up relying on their youngsters. Is that something that we can be proud of and really get behind, or is it sort of just disappointing that we're not able to bring in proven oven ready players?
I think it's great if you can, relying on your academy is different to, I think, having an academy that you use in the right way. There have been times where, like the Sean Dyche season and some of Malky's time, where maybe we had to rely on it a bit too much, and some of those players who played in those teams didn't go on to have stellar careers. But there's definitely been times, most of the Pozzo era, where we haven't seen enough academy players. I mean, and the academy situation continues to be a bit of a problem in terms of its status, its category status is being downgraded and all that. It's clearly not as much of a focus as it was. But with the situation that we're in now, perhaps reluctantly, there is a reality from the club that we are going to need to use more young players than perhaps we were using 5-6 years ago when the going was good. And it's been it's as long as I've been a fan, and many years before that, Watford bringing academy players through, bringing homegrown players through, has been a feature of the club. So if it's going to happen, and we're going to see good, promising young players getting into the team, great. I think we'd rather see that sometimes than, another player coming from Udinese or from Belgium or wherever they might come from.
I was going to follow on for Dave's point. The amount of players that we've had shipped in like January, players like Kokladice last season and Samuel Kalu and players like that, you can't tell me that you'd have a kind of net positive playing the academy players over those guys who would be on a lot bigger salaries. It's something that hopefully this season we're going to see. I think looking at the squad depth, Amin's definitely going to get a lot of minutes this season, so it's up to him to grab it and shine.
Amen to that. Let's hope some of those aforementioned youngsters step up to the plate and go for that much coveted title of Young Player of the Year. Now we're going to do some quick fire fun ones here. We don't need to go too in depth into it. I'm going to go first with the first one. So most likely to score a 30-yarder, Mark Bowler for me.
Was it 30? Was it full 30 yards?
Yeah, we're giving him 30 yards. That's my guess. Just going to mark that down as tick.
I'm going Matty Pollock. A frustrating game where it's 0-0.
With his head.
I was going to say, was it Coventry who scored with like a 25-yard header against?
Callum lobbed Ben Foster in
the header, wasn't it?
Promotion season, yeah. I won't go into too much detail, but 0-0, frustrating game where a team sits back. Matty picks up the ball from 30 yards. Company against Leicester-esque in, 2018 or so it would have been. And just absolutely smacks it into the top corner.
I think there's more chance of Bove trying to clear it and it cannoning off Matty Pollock's head and just go straight over the goalkeeper. I'm going to go for Rocco Vata. We've seen it before. We saw it, like you said, at Craven Cottage. He shoots for fun when he's going to be cutting in. I think Tom Cleverley once said he's the best finisher at the club, and he would have been 2 years younger then. So hopefully Rocco can cement his team and start shooting, and we're going to see some screamers from the Irish lad.
It's the right answer. Vata is obviously the most likely person to do it. He's going to have the most shots if he's on the pitch from that sort of distance. Good ball striker, has done it before. But what chance Loser or Iran Kunda sneaking onto the pitch before the transfer deadline goes, and one of them pops one in just as a leaving present?
Judging by the amount of people surrounding Iran Kunda on Yellow Brick Road after the game on Saturday, there's not much chance of him sneaking anywhere. But yeah, I mean, Loser was interesting. He was on the bench, wasn't he, against Crawley? He didn't get on. How telling that is, I guess we'll find out fairly quickly with that first crunch game really against Southampton. On to the next one, quick fire. Dave, most yellow cards.
Bove. I think if he's, if he isn't going to be quite bang up to it in terms of the pace of rattling around in midfield, maybe he'll leave a few on a few slightly more nimble Championship midfielders.
I'm here for it. Charlie, what are you saying?
I'm going for skipper Matty Pollock. If an attacker's going past him, he won't let them. He'll drag them down. He'll take one for the team. He's going to be a mainstay in the team, and he'll probably have more cards than he will. More cards than Clintons, as they say.
Sam, who's going to be a disciplinary disaster this season?
I agree with Dave. I think I'm going to go with Eduardo Bove. I could see a few frustrated yellow cards from him, or a few chasing back yellow cards as well.
For me, if he stays in the team, and you can put your rent or your mortgage on this, Hector Cipriano to get booked is an absolute banker. As soon as a player gets past him, he just grabs him, pushes him to the floor, on he goes, regular as clockwork. And I reckon Traore might be, if he does start at right back, then I think he might be a good bet as well, as he scampers back to do his defensive duties after overhitting a cross to a despondent Luka Kura. God, the season hasn't even started yet, and I'm already depressing myself. Who will divide the fan base, Sam? Who's going to be a divisive player, do you think, this year?
I'm going to go with Quadro Bar, because I feel like we know that there's such a good player in there, and a bit like what we saw against Crawley, I still feel like there's not something a bit missing with him, but he just, if a team contains him well, or if he's not fully confident in his body, I feel like he and things don't start coming off, I feel like he can be quite a frustrating player to watch at times. And I feel like he'll split the fan base, because we all know what he's capable of, but I just worry that there's going to be some games where we don't quite see it.
Yeah, I can see that. He's a curious one, isn't he? I'm desperate for KB to do well. I feel like we've got something there. And I just, like I said earlier on, watching players bounce off him is joyous. He is huge, he's strong, he's fast, he's capable. We just need to get his head right, I think. But you're right, I think he's already quite a divisive player.
Definitely. I just worry that a little bit of him has lost confidence in his own body, even subconsciously. I think back to Imran Loser after he broke his ankle away at Millwall in 2023 it would have been, and I was right in front of it, and it was a horrible injury at the Den, and it took Imran a good 2 years to really get back to his best, just because I think he lacked any sort of confidence in his body. And I feel a little bit of that with Quadro Bar as well. I think every fan in the stadium, when Bar starts sprinting, everyone almost holds their breath for a second. So, yeah, fingers crossed he can get over that this season. But I just worry it's going to split opinion this season with the fans too.
Charlie, who's going to be inspiring water cooler debate amongst this Watford squad?
This quick fire's going well. Luka Kurum-Gore.
Kurum-Gore,
because I'm gonna be backing him all season. One's going to come off his bum against Southampton, and then he's going to slot one in to make it 2-1 at the Vic on Sunday. Come on.
This is good. Right, we're getting back to positive vibes here. I like it. I tried to drag us down. You guys are here to bring us back. Dave?
Cipriano. I think a lot of people will like him because he's a good lad. He's a solid player in the middle, but then I also think maybe the purists amongst us will think that he's actually maybe not that great a player.
All those bookings get you down after a while. I'm going to go for Bravo. I think there's a chance that people might be a bit disappointed he doesn't score enough goals. But I think he might be a more nuggety player, and I think he might sort of do some unseen work that might be appreciated by some, but not by others. So
the new Jose Manuel Jurado.
Well, Yeah.
I was thinking more Fernando Forestieri.
Well, are we going to sign Fernando Forestieri? They're currently a free agent. Probably more likely to sign for Ribblesdale, Dave, than he is Watford at the moment. Most outlandish prediction. I'm going to kick this one off. You mentioned him a minute ago, Charlie. I reckon, for all his failings, Luca is going to score 5 games in a row and will be the subject of intense transfer speculation in January. We'll find ourselves fending off bids for LK9 in January. That's my outlandish prediction.
Wow.
Sam, can you beat that?
Well, it contradicts your player of the season prediction quite a lot, Mike. But I'm going for the Dan Backman redemption arc. I'm going for.
Here we go.
I'm predicting.
Now we're cooking.
I'm going to say that Fede, for one reason or another, will come out of the team at some point, either for struggling or because of injury. Dan Backman will come into the side with expectations on the floor, and he is going to redeem himself and reinscribe himself into the hearts of Watford fans. A key part of the leadership group. I think he's still popular in the dressing room. And yeah, I don't know why. I just got a feeling that the time away for Dan would have been good for him, and hopefully he's had the reset that he needs. And I've just got a feeling we could see the redemption arc.
I'm starting
Just
to
seen
see
some breaking news. Dan Batman's leaving. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm starting to see what Charlie meant about your prediction, Sam. Dear Lord. I'm here for it, though. I'm here for it. Stranger things have happened, have they? Not sure. Dave?
I think Watford are going to get to the semi-finals of the League Cup.
Wow.
And we will lose in that semi-final by a margin of 10 goals or more on aggregate to Manchester City.
Oh, hello, darkness, my old friend.
I think we're not necessarily going to pull up many trees in the Championship. I don't think we're going to necessarily have a sparkling season, but in the way that I think Preston did a few years ago. They think they got to the semis, or Burton got to the semis and got humped by Man City, I think about in like 2018 or something. It can happen sometimes. Maybe we're going to get a fortunate draw, fluke our way there. We've not had much luck in the League Cup for a long time, for about 20 years now, really. So I think that's going to happen. I'm buoyed by that performance against Crawley and the draw against Peterborough. I think we go into the semis and then we'll get our asses handed to us by our old friends from Manchester.
So Charlie, we've got Luca scoring for fun. We've got Dan Backman playing his way back into the hearts of the Watford faithful. We've got Watford storming to the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. What you got?
Yeah, after that from Dave, I'm fancying some Carabao. I'm feeling thirsty. I've got two outlandish ones, but I'll save the other one for the individual random prediction. Sadly, Tom Ince is going to score against us for Tranmere Rovers in the FA Cup to dump us out. We don't have to say anything more.
No, I can see that. A suitably morose way to end those quickfire ones, but probably the most likely out of all four, I suspect. So you might be taking the points on that one, Charlie. Right, back to sort of slightly more Route 1, if you like, predictions. Who is going to be, if anyone, Watford's top scorer this season?
What do you mean, if anyone? Is they all finishing on ones and twos? A joint top scorer?
Yeah, and literally on ones and twos. I mean, my money currently, someone said was the Mark Bowler score goal of the season. I said, well, it could well be the only goal of the season on Saturday. But Dave, who have you got for top scorer?
I think Doumbia, by virtue maybe of that no one else. Us not signing a proper striker, Kurmagard not scoring that many, and he'll get maybe a bit more of a run in the team at centre forward than he did last season. Don't think it will be. I mean, not many teams really, Championship level, even at top level, have 20 plus goal season strikers these days. The goals tend to be shared around a lot more. But so I think he might win it on 7 or 8 goals.
Yeah. Sounds reasonable and highly possible. Sam, who have you got?
I'm going to go with Luca.
Come on,
again.
Come on, Luca.
Just because he's going to be at the top of the pitch, and just don't really see where someone will have, because there will be opportunities there. We even saw it the other day, and yeah, surely some of them will go in. And I think because he'll get those chances on, hopefully, a regular basis, if we create chances like we did against Crawley, then yeah, hopefully he'll get onto the end of of most of them, but I'm not sure who else there is who will necessarily score above 5 or 6 goals. Weirdly, I don't know if this also goes into outlandish prediction. I could see Kayembe scoring a few. I think he'll make his way into the team and, be on set pieces maybe. A few shots from outside the box.
What a ringing endorsement from Yuko
maybe.
there. Surely some of them will eventually go in. I mean, if that isn't faith in your striker, I don't know what is.
Love you, Luca.
Charlie, who's going to top the scoring charts for the Hornets?
Yeah, I'm backing my boy Luca. I told you he's scoring on Sunday. Right. I'm going to get his name printed off on a shirt. And then I'll be that, we don't have to name his name, but that famous meme of, you're not laughing now, are you? When he scores more goals than he did last season. So up the K9. Yeah,
well, I'm here for that. I'm going to go for Marmot. I just think that his talent, his ability to sort of slalom his way into the penalty box, I don't think he's shy about taking shots on. He's going to top the charts for me. I just think he's the best player, and I think he's going to score the most goals. So there you have it. Hopefully, the number of goals is greater by a significant margin than the number of head coaches. We've got to ask the question. We are Watford after all. We know who we are. We're comfortable in our own skin. We've got to talk about it. Charlie, your prediction: how many head coaches are going to be in that dugout for Watford this season?
I'm going for 2, sadly. Although I was saw some really wholesome footage of Dionisi with some kids patting their faces, making a real effort with all of them on Sunday, and that just made me feel like I'm so in on him, and I hope he does well.
Would you like Dionisi to pat your face, Charlie?
I'd love it. Pat my head if that worked for him.
Bit of a Fabian Barthez and Laurent Blanc situation.
Yeah, I feel like the vibes are a bit better than they were at the start of last season in terms of how the players are getting on with him. Obviously, he speaks a bit more English than Pezzolano does. I think some people are talking about a bit more of an identity in the early stages. I haven't seen too much of that, but I'm hearing about wingers staying wide and eights kind of box crashing. So I'm really rooting for him to do well. However, I'm going to go for 2 head coaches. I think towards the back end of maybe February, March, it might get a bit hairy and they might pull the trigger, which will lead on to my random individual prediction coming next. But yeah, I'm going to go for a modest 2 head coach, which will be probably average or below average for us in the Pozzo era.
I wonder whether our random prediction is going to be the same here, Charlie. We'll
maybe mine too.
Yeah,
I feel like I agree with Charlie in 2. And I think after we get knocked out at the semi-final stages of the Carabao Cup, it will precipitate a steep and sharp decline in our league form. We will tumble away out of touching distance of the crucial 8th place this season for the playoffs. Remember that. We only need to be 8th to get into those playoffs this year, which might sort of work. Would that work in the manager's favour, really? Like they'll have more of a reason to say, oh, look, Gino, we could still finish 8th. We could still get in the playoffs. But then
I'm
also
not looking forward to hearing we're 3 points off the playoffs in April. I don't want to hear that chatter.
But I think he'll be let go in let's say March sort of time. And we'll have who knows will turn up.
Dave, what's your response when you have people saying about the Watford head coach situation joke? Because you must get it a lot.
Well, did you see that post that did the rounds recently with all the data about all the other teams that have had managerial changes in the last 10, 12 years or whatever? Huddersfield aren't far behind us. Cardiff are pretty close. We're not the only ones, but we're the ones. We are the most, so fair enough. But
the OGs.
But we're not the only team that chop and change very, very regularly. But I think. Even the detractors have become a bit bored of taking the mick out of us now, haven't they? So
Charlie 2, Dave 2, Sam.
I'm going 3.
Wow.
Just based on previous seasons, I could see it following a similar path to what we saw last year. I could see him going in November time, Dionisi, an upturn in form before inevitable drop off with the second manager in January, February time, before He is the second manager sacked in March, for the third manager for the final 10 games, which will lead me to my biggest surprise, which I think we're all on the same page with this one. We've all read each other's minds.
I think
that is a textbook season.
I think, Charlie, I think you are right. I think the vibes do feel slightly better this season. I think maybe because there's an element that the expectation is completely off now. Because we aren't up there as someone who's being spoken about as a playoff contender or someone with... I know we've got the likes of Marmor and Bove, but we don't have as clear-cut of a superstar in the Championship as we have done in previous years. So I think because the expectation's off and we're able to, I think, enjoy the ride a little bit more with less expectation, I think the vibes have been better. But yeah, another 3 head coach season I'm going for.
It's a bit self-preservation really at this stage, isn't it? And we're a bit tongue-in-cheek, and we are so battle-hardened to the situation. But just hearing you chaps talking about it, how good would it be? I know Tom lasted the season, but how good would it be just to go the whole season with a manager or a head coach who is getting the best out of the squad? And we're not seeing that dip. We're not seeing that post-Christmas fall-off. We're not... Like you're saying, Charlie, we're still in touch with the playoffs, but deep down knowing that's not going to happen. I'm just desperate for that.
Mike, what would he have to do to survive for the full season? Where do you think Gino's head is at in terms of his expectations?
I think Gino potentially understands. He's not stupid. I think he will know that the makeup of the squad currently is such that it's going to be a challenge to get promoted. But Dave's right to mention that 8th playoff spot is a big carrot for a lot of clubs, and that might mean that other clubs spend a little bit more because you've got that added outside chance and the extra incentive of getting promoted. I think he has to manage upwards incredibly well. He has to deal with what feels like a slightly dysfunctional club with. Luke Downing's come in and has struggled. We've seen that. I think he's probably struggled because of the finances. Scott Duxbury's having a tough time as chairman with his public comments matching up with reality. Gino Pozzo is in and out of the country, ostensibly trying to sell the football club, but nothing seems to be happening in that regard. Clearly not investing. So in terms of that hierarchy remains sort of, it feels to me, if not dysfunctional, then certainly very fractured and difficult to cope with. So Diniz is going to have to do what so many others have failed to do, or seemingly failed to do, which is manage upwards exceptionally well, and effectively keep himself in the job. Because if we are close to the playoffs, Gino's more likely to bin him off than keep him. Because in his view, it's a better way of getting that lift and getting a little springboard into the playoffs. So, yeah, manage upwards. He's going to have to play the players that Watford want to sell. That's a reality. I think he's going to have to keep that conveyor belt going. Watford pay the bills and continue as a going concern by bringing players in and either developing them or giving them a shop window. So he's going to, and I guess that's part of managing upwards, isn't it? So he's going to have to get the best out of the players that are viewed internally as the top tier players, if that makes sense, because that's the way they're going to get top dollar. And he's going to have to keep the players on side, because last season, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I think it bears repeating, the run-in was a disgrace. The way the players turned it in, home and away, was nothing short of pathetic. I'm not one of these people who subscribes you should get refunds if you go to a football match. You pay your money, you take your choice. If it's crap, it's crap. That's just the way it is. But the nature of those performances was diabolical, and that simply can't be allowed to happen. So, yeah, they're all the things he's got to deal with. Get the best out of. We've spoken about loads of decent and exciting players. We've spoken about the challenges. He's got to get the best out of them, and part of that is, you mentioned it earlier, Charlie, in terms of seeing his style of play. He's got to hit the ground running with that quickly. Players have got to believe in it, and ultimately it's got to be successful on the pitch. And if it is successful on the pitch, the fans are with you quickly, and everything's a lot easier.
Did you see that Opta have by their sort of supercomputer rankings? They say we've got the hardest start in the Championship.
Yeah, and so hitting the ground running more this season more than ever is, and yeah, no, hitting the ground running, terrible cliche, but it is so true this year. We could very easily be bottom of the league after 4 or 5 games, and just clinging on to that massive Carabao Cup run for something to cheer us up about. So yeah, a bad start, and it's going to get tricky very, very quickly. So that leads me to my answer, which is 2. I think ultimately there are so many challenges at the football club that it's almost impossible to navigate it, and the way that the club is managed. And mentioning about Gino, if you're close to the playoffs, but they think you're struggling, they're going to bin you off. That's just the way it is. So you can almost be just about too successful for your own good, which sounds bizarre to say, but you know what I mean. And that leads me, and I'm the host, so I'm going to go first with my individual random prediction. So I said we're going to have 2 managers in 26-27, and the second of those, the one that's going to guide us to that Carabao Cup semi-final, is going to be Adrian Mariappa. That is my individual random prediction. Is that close to what you guys had?
I've got a different name.
Yeah, I think I know who Sam and Charlie are going to go with, but I agree with you, Mike. I think the fact that he is on the staff now and that Dan Gosling has departed for I don't know if we know what the exciting opportunity is yet that he's left to try and take up. But yeah, I think I can see Mariappa being the guy who's left holding the baby come the end of the season.
You two, should we do it on 3 then? You can say the name after 3. So I'll count you in.
I'll let Sam have it. Take it away, Sam. It's time.
Yeah, it was my biggest surprise rather than my individual prediction, but it's a matter of time, isn't it, before Troy Deeney takes the dugout at Vicarage Road. A bit of a similar pattern I think we're going to see to a few years ago when it was Rob Edwards, followed by Slaven Bilic, and then Chris Wilder taking those last 10 games and pulling punches at left, right and centre, calling out the culture, etc. And I could see something similar happening with Troy Deeney for those last 10 games this season. So that was my biggest surprise with Troy Deeney coming back for 10 games. Charlie, what was your rationale behind Troy coming back?
I just think we might be looking at the run-in. We might be staring down the barrel of relegation, and we need someone to come in, someone who knows the club, someone to get the boys going, and stir up that changing room. And yeah, I think it's only a matter of time, and I think Troy would take it if the phone call came in. It would be an explosive 10 games, but yeah, it would be entertaining. Amazon need to get to that training ground and get that documentary signed off.
I don't think that's going to happen, because I'm not sure that Troy, even though he, and this isn't an insult, even though he's a guy with a big ego and a big personality, and that's fine. I don't think he would take fancy it if he got the call, because I think, having had his hands quite severely burnt by his disastrous spell, 2-week spell at Forest Green, I think maybe he would think, you know what, I actually quite like the life I live right now. I do a bit of punditry, I have a nice life, get to spend time with my family. But what I think is potentially more likely to happen with regards to Troy Deeney is that he could be involved in some capacity with a takeover bid. I could see him having enough presence about him and enough friends in high places, and indeed enough of a genuine, heartfelt desire for Watford to do well and be better than we are, that he could potentially get involved in some sort of effort to move Gino out and drum up some sort of consortium, maybe get Anthony Joshua involved, I don't know, someone else, Simon Jordan, his mate from TalkSport, who knows? But I could see him being involved on that side of it more than becoming the head coach.
Yeah, what does the Watford Avengers look like? Deeney, Elton? Is
Elton,
he involved?
yeah.
Jerry?
Just get the whole FA Cup final squad, both FA Cup final squads in to take it over. That was a bit of a come and get me plea, Dave, on behalf of Watford Football Club, wasn't it?
Mike, do you think Troy would take it if the phone call came in?
I think he'd find it hard not to. I genuinely believe that he sees Watford as, we know he's a Birmingham fan, but he sees Watford as his club, and I think he potentially feels a bit sad that the way things have gone since he left. That team that ultimately disbanded could have been forgiven for imagining they should have a legacy, which is Watford succeeding in the Premier League. We did so well for, it was a relatively short period of time, but for those 4 seasons we got incrementally better, didn't we? And we really started to look like a genuine Premier League football team, got to a cup final, knocking on the door of Europe. And I think for him, I suspect it hurts a little bit that to see the club in the situation it is now, and dealing with all the challenges which we've spoken about on videos and on podcasts over the last couple of years. And with that in mind, I think he'd find it very hard to say no. I think Dave is right that he would definitely have been burnt by that Forest Green experience. He knows everything about Watford that makes it difficult to be a head coach. So does he want that on his CV, if you like? It's very much heart and head conversation he'd have to have with himself. And of course, he is working. He's got a great career working in broadcast, doing great stuff for CBS. So he's fairly well settled. I think it would tug at his heartstrings, but I agree entirely with Dave, and I don't think it would be a surprise for me at all to see him involved in trying to in spearheading, or at least being a significant part in a takeover bid. Like Dave said, his position now in America, contacts over there. He is the face of Watford, really, the modern face of Watford, apart from Elton and GT. You talk about Watford and everyone either talks about Elton John or the Deeney goal. He is Watford's biggest player of the last decade or so at least. And I just think his position is such that he could be in a position to do something in terms of a takeover. So maybe that would be my biggest surprise, that Troy leads a takeover. But it remains to be seen. What I do know, I think, is that his work at WD18 isn't finished. I think he feels there's unfinished business, and I suspect, knowing him as the passionate guy he is, he will want to see Watford back.
I thought you meant the channel.
On a which go on? What did I say?
Yeah, is he coming back on soon? Yeah, okay.
Tell you what, we did interview Troy. We've interviewed him 3 times maybe on the channel over the years. One thing I've been so fascinated by forever is we had him on a few days after we got promoted in 2021, and he ate an apple in 2 bites. I've never seen anyone do that in my life. It was unbelievable to see.
Core and all?
Oh, he left the core actually,
Right.
but I don't know how anyone does that. It was
So
unbelievable.
the one side, then the other.
Yeah, I mean,
Incredible.
I have to watch it back. I don't know, but I can't remember it to be honest.
Well, you're going to give some earnest insight then.
Yeah, it was, wow.
That could be good if he does come back on. We could just do fruit demolition with Deeney, something like that. That could be a good
You're
offshoot.
good at Halloween, bobbing for apples.
Yeah.
Bring him
So
home.
let's do a quick whiz round then in terms of Sam. You've done and said your biggest surprise, in as much as you think Troy will be back at the helm. Mine is my biggest surprise of the season. I sort of mentioned it at the start, and it's a bit. It's not a very serious one, but I think we're going to start getting positive comments from opposition fans about how good playing your song is before the game. I think other fans are going to start recognising that as being a bit of identity and something a little bit unique that we've got, and leaning into our heritage. And I think that's something we should be proud of. But I think we're going to start getting some well-deserved props for that. Dave?
I think Bayo's going to come back in January.
Hey, scored against Barcelona, didn't he, the other week?
Yeah.
Bio back. I can see the hashtag. No more needs to be said. My biggest surprise is that we're going to sign a striker, and he's going to do less than Kiramgard and Dumbia.
Oh wow, brilliant! So, and his name, Faku Bayo, superb. We put a bow on it. Has anyone got a good surprise?
I mean, I don't know if you want to count it as a good surprise, but I also had in my head Emmanuel Dennis coming back for a third time.
Sam.
I am looking forward to seeing Martin Parejo play. I think he could be a player that we enjoy and we get behind. He's giving me Kushka vibes.
Yeah.
All action, Blood and Thunder.
Is he going to get the bookings? Should we have chosen him for the bookings, really?
Not a bad shout.
All things considered.
I've tried not to look at him because of his nationality, but apparently when he came on the other day, he was pretty... He impressed, and he had a really good reputation when he came to Middlesbrough. So hopefully we can find a home for him, and he can become a bit of a cult hero.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well done, lads. We've done the majority of our predictions. There's one left, and we've also gone about 20-25 minutes without mentioning Rocco Vata, which I think is good. We come to the crux, the real important, the bread and butter. Where are Watford going to finish in the league? What is their finishing position going to be? Who wants to go first? Who's brave enough?
I think we'll finish 10th.
10th, just outside the play.
Tantalisingly close to the...
Is that your biggest surprise?
to the 8th place playoffs.
Sam, where have you got us finishing?
I am going with 16th. I've gone with. I actually think we'll start okay. A part of me actually thinks that having the difficult start might go in our favour a bit. Meaning we have to automatically up our performance levels, and I could see us starting really well. It'll get to January, we'll need to invest in the squad, we won't, and it will fall apart. And it will be a terrible run in again, and we'll be back to square one having the same conversation next summer. See you then.
Wow, this is so just invigorating, lads. Great. Charlie, what have you got? Where are we finishing?
I think we are going to finish one place above last season and above Sam's prediction in 15th. And all I want is for us to finish above QPR. I'd be a happy man if we finish above them lot. So I'm going for 15th. Improvement.
Yeah, okay, incremental improvement. I'll take it. Blimey, lads. I was feeling really positive and getting quite excited when we were talking about all those flair players and goalkeepers winning player of the season. Look, I think, in all seriousness, we need to finish 21st or above. That is the most important thing. The squad is thin. We're going into, as it stands, we've got a game on Sunday against Southampton, one of the better teams in the division, with 2 centre-backs. It's unheard of. I don't think Watford have ever gone into a season like this. And at both ends of the park, 2 centre-backs, 2 strikers, and the 2 strikers not really showing any signs of being able to put the ball in the goal. So that, strip it all back, is a concern for us. It will be a concern for the football club as well. They're not stupid. They know what the makeup of the squad is. But we're in uncharted territory, I think, really, here, with key positions being massively short of depth. And with that in mind, staying up has to be the target, especially when you add in, as we've mentioned, the start of the season is incredibly tough. Lose the first 4 or 5 or just pick up a point here and there, and it looks very, very difficult. Defensively, we are limited. Matty Pollock, we love him to death. He's going to score that wonderful 30-yard goal, and we know that when the bullets are flying, he's going to be there. But he's got that. They have just, him and Keben have got those issues at centre back. We looked quite easy to get at against Crawley. Yes, it was effectively a glorified friendly, I suppose, in as much as it was the first game of the season. But grave concerns about how we're going to do against proper football teams in this championship, many of whom have been spending serious amounts of cash in a bid to get up to the Premier League. So for me, finishing 21st is the be all and end all. On the flip side of that, I do think there's not quite chimes of the first season when the Pozzos came in and we got those amazing Udinese loans that came in and just hit the ground running and just seemed to gel so well. But it does seem like at least the players that are coming in have got a little bit of pedigree, and it does feel like they're coming in areas that we need them. So I think if we can get off to a good start, and Dionisi builds on this sort of initial feel-good factor that he seems to have managed to foster, then there's no reason we can't have a more enjoyable season. So I think it will be one or the other. I think we will be battling away against relegation, and hopefully we'll finish 21st or above, or I think we'll sneak into that 8th position.
So where are we going to finish? Come on, you've got to pick one.
Yeah, probably 19th or 18th, isn't it? Look, I'm going to go positive. I'm going to say we're going to be the first team to clinch an 8th position playoff spot in the Championship. Watford FC 2026-27, history makers. How good does that sound?
Love it.
We'll take it.
Come on.
And you can play that clip
2
back
trips
to
to
me.
Wembley, is it? Oh no, semi-finals in the Carabao.
Make sure you play that clip back to me after we've lost 3-0 against Southampton on Sunday. We will, of course, be back covering that Southampton game on your screens with WD18, in your ears with From The Rookery End. We'll be with you the rest of the season, the highs, the lows, the in-betweens. Thank you so much to everyone who's responded to what we've been doing so far. Really, really appreciate it. We love doing it and can't wait to cover the rest of the season. Sam, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mike.
Cheers, Dave.
Cheers, lads.
Well done, Charlie.
Up the Hornets.
We'll be back after Southampton when our championship season gets underway in earnest this coming Sunday. Come on, you Horns!